ultimate measure of our success is how we make others feel.
Okay, dit het my nou 2 ure gevat.
The ultimate measure of our success is how we make others feel.
Okay, dit het my nou 2 ure gevat om net tot 'n mate tot verhaal te kom.
The ultimate measure of our success is how we make others feel.
Okay.
The ultimate measure of our success is how we make others feel.
Okay.
Hallo. Môre. Goeiemôre almal. Welkom op Swellendam. Ek dink daar's 'n klompie van julle wat nou gisterand vir ons gejoin het en dit was, ek dink ons almal het lekker gegiggel van hierdie dromme en ek dink ons hele span is nou lekker in ritme na gisterand. Dit was regtig lekker om almal daar te hê. Ek wil net vir almal welkom sê en baie dankie sê vir almal wat lekker ver gery het om hier te wees. Ons waardeer dit regtig baie. Ons het dit lanklaas gedoen en ons beplan om 'n bietjie meer te doen in die toekoms. Ek gaan net gou vinnig vir Johan Henry vra dat hy net vir ons open met gebed en dan begin die dag. Lekker. Opgewonde om julle hier te hê. Dan sê baie dankie. Dan, ek hoef julle seker nie voor te stel nie, maar my pa wat hierdie besigheid begin het 26 jaar terug. Hy gaan net vir ons almal net welkom heet en dan begin ons met ons program vir die dag.
Môre almal, ek dink ek het almal gegroet, persoonlik gegroet. November 99 het ons die willig hier gekry om die projek aan te pak en Job Kaap toe en kontrak geteken en letterlike maand daarna ons eerste kantoor opgemaak in Stilbaai 1999. Hy's nog vandag oop, so 26 jaar terug. Lang pad. Wie van julle is al so lank al hier by my? Het ek eers hoor, wie is al 26 jaar in die bedryf? In die bedryf in totaal. Wie is al 26 jaar? Ja, Francel. En wel? 24 years. Is jy 24 years? Right, ja, so, ja, is 'n lang pad. Wel, hoe lank is jy al by ons? Jy 16 years. Wel, en Francel? 16. Wie is langer as 16 by my? Manda al 19, 19 jaar. 18 jaar. Nie. As jy 17 jaar. Lang pad, nee. Ja, so baie dankie vir julle wat al lang pad saam met ons stap. Dit mag gevorm oor tyd. En ek dink is nou tyd om oor te gee, soos julle self weet. Ons gaan door die rooi baadjie aantrek en die blou afgee. So Jaco, welkom. Julle weet al seker almal, ja, hy vat hierdie brand vir ons oor en met 'n pan met goeie personeel en 'n span wat al baie lank al saam met my kom. Baie dankie vir die wat so lekker lank pad saam met my gestap het. Ek sê vir julle baie dankie. En ek dink dat nog, ja, ek wens vir hom voorspoed toe met sy man, met sy brand en sy alles. Ons help mekaar nog baie, maar ek dink dat daar's nog 'n goeie toekoms voor en thanks to Denise. Laat jy ook hier is en Uwa en al die mense wat al jare ook saam met Uwa, wat ook al jare saam met ons kom. Dankie vir dat julle ons gejoin het vandag. Ek is nie 'n vredelike man vir praat, soos julle self weet. So Jaco, dankie. Julle kan voortgaan en dankie dat julle gekom het vandag. En dankie vir almal wat so gehelp het om die plek so vinnig reg te kry vir die event en dankie vir gisteraand vir julle wat ons gehelp op Kambati. Verwelkom het en lekker kos gegee het en al die dinge. So ek hoop julle enjoy die dag. Dat is.
Ja, ek dink jy almal weet nie, maar hierdie training center wat ons insit, dit se begin is so 5 weke terug. So hy was niks gewees hè en toe begin ek 'n funksie reël te sê, "Pa, wat?" Toe sê ek weet nie, toe sê my kos bou 'n plek. So dis hoe hy dit doen. So baie dankie vir dit. En ek dink ook dis hoekom die besigheid is waar dit vandag is. Ek gaan 'n bietjie later vir ons 'n opsomming gee oor die jaar. Maar dit is vir my regtig vandag 'n voorreg om hier te wees en so groot deel van ons span hier te sien. Dis 'n klomp wat nie hier kan wees nie, almal weet dit, dis ver. Ons gaan 'n bietjie meer funksies in die noorde ook hou by ons ander kantore. Maar dit is lekker om julle hier te hê en julle is regtig die backbone van die besigheid. Ons admin personeel en mense wat my verwelkom het in die kantoor en wat my regtig help om die ding aan die gang te hou. Ek weet nog steeds nie hoe my pa al twee geraan gekry het nie. Dit is absoluut onmoontlik. En hy het dit reg gekry, so ja, baie dankie vir die basis wat daar gestel is. Ek dink ons het 'n baie goeie naam in die bedryf. Ek dink ons het 'n naam van vertroue en dit is dink ek die belangrikste ding wat ons op moet bou vir die toekoms. So ons gaan 'n paar interessante sprekers hê vandag, lekker inspirerend. Ons gaan nie opleiding doen nie, ons gaan net sommer net lekker gesels en kyk of ons julle 'n bietjie kan inspireer vir volgende jaar. As jy net ons syfers hoor, gaan jy verstaan hoekom. Ons het 'n ongelooflike jaar gehad, maar ek gaan vir julle sê volgende jaar gaan 'n rekord wees. So ek dink ons kan lekker opgewonde wees vir alles wat voor lê. Ek dink eerste een wat ek gaan voorstel is Angie Sonders van Uba. Baie dankie dat julle hier is en dankie dat julle gisterand hier was. Hulle is altyd as ons enigiets soos dit hou, dan wil hulle net sê net waar kan ons help en wat kan ons doen. So dit is regtig vir ons 'n voorreg. Amora wat ook hier is, ons konsultant. Dankie dat jy hier is en dankie vir alles wat jy vir die groep doen. Ja, Angie, ek gee oor aan jou. Dankie.
Do I have to talk on the mic?
Ek kan baie hard praat en ek hou van om 'n bietjie rond te loop. Anders gaan ek hierso staan en dan is hulle hier en dan is I feel like there's distance between us.
Tell us just van die experience van gister.
It was amazing, Yella. I would say my coordination with drum playing, I shouldn't quit my day job. But I thought you guys did an amazing job, and I love what Dr. said about the synergy, and you guys are all being on the same drum, you're playing the same tune, and you go out there in the market and you all know what you need to do, and you do it with the same values, you know. So yeah. So guys, just to introduce myself quickly, I'm Angie Saunders. I'm one of the regional sales managers at Uber Home Loans. You were appointed Uber consultant for your area and for Yaku's offices. And basically, Amora, I know Amora for many, many, many years. I won't say many, many, I mean, I'm not that old, but I know Amora from ABSA days already. And Amora probably taught me a thing or two about home loans. So there's probably not much that this lady doesn't know about home loans and a bond. Amora, ek wil nie na jou ouer wegken nie, maar jy weet seker daar toe Durban Hillpark oopgemaak is. Afso Durban Hillpark. So yeah. So Amora is really, honestly, we've come a very long way. I was 23 years at ABSA. I then joined Uber Home Loans, and then Amora, kan ek maar sê, so oor die 30 jaar by ABSA huislening. So, but then she saw the light, and she joined Uber. And that's just because of the importance, which I'm going to talk to you guys now about multi-submissions of clients' bond applications. So yeah, I just started with a quote. Uber Home Loans and agents share a common goal, turning property dreams into reality. And I think sometimes we kind of forget that, you know, when we're showing houses and we're into sales and we've got to close the deals and then, you know, but at the end of the day, you're probably helping somebody buy their dream property or dream home, and you helping someone get the bond for the property that they absolutely love. So I think it's always good to keep that in the back of our minds when we're in this industry. So the first question I always get asked is, what's going to happen tomorrow with the interest rates? And we all hope and we all pray for a down.
Yes.
Okay? And they say that the Reserve Bank says that there's probably an 80% chance of another 0.25 down. So 25 basis points. Again, please don't hold me to it, because you never quite know what the Monetary Committee is going to decide to do. But if it comes down, that would be amazing. Again, to Jaco, if it comes down, you guys are probably going to, not that you wouldn't have had an amazing year anyway next year, but will probably obviously just help us a little bit more to get that extra bond application through or that extra sale through. Okay, so tomorrow's D-Day. And that's just because the reason we say 80% chance is because inflation, the target is between 3 and 6%. Then they said, no, that's too broad, so let's make it 3%. And we're hovering, I think, just around 4% with inflation. So that's why I don't quite know what's going to happen, but let's hope for the 0.25 basis points. Guys, I'm not going to bore you with stats. I just wanted to show you something quickly. So the first two lines is Western Cape. This is national. I feel like the weather girl. So October, and then this is year to date over 12 months. Okay. I just want to show you the average interest rate. The average interest rate that we get customers when we multi-submit a deal is MBR minus 0.88%. So you know, you get the customer and says, no, I've got a banker, I'm going to get MBR minus 1%. And we find the customer is saying, minus 1 doesn't really excite me. You know what excites me? Minus 1.5 or 2%. That excites me. So that's what we do. That is what we are in the industry of doing. And that's what we fight for. So please, guys, this is the average we get. That's every bond application we do. The average we're getting is minus 0.88. Okay. We get much better than that. My best one I've seen recently, minus 2.5. And that is with us multi-submitting and then fighting. Well, not fighting. There are bank partnerships. We ever fight. We negotiate. Okay. And then guys, just quickly, your average purchase price. En net in die area of so Stilbaai versus Swellendam versus Agulhas, Struisbaai, dit verskil, jy weet, nogal baie. So this really is the average purchase price in the Western Cape is trailing at 2.3 million in the Western Cape. National, 1.6 million. So it's much easier to get into the market in the other provinces than it is in the Western Cape, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. So your percentage of first-time home buyers, 36% of the bonds we are doing are first-time home buyers. That's very low, guys, 36%. Whereas national is trailing at close to 50%. So your first-time home buyer, they want to buy a house, they want to own property. It's a dream for them. It's a struggle for them to get into the market. So that's why we need to help them. We need to negotiate those rates for them. And we need to try and see what's the best deal we can get them in all the banks, okay? And don't forget, we do submit to investing in RMB. So even if they bank there, let us make the banker work for the better rate, okay? Because I can give you a few examples and I'll get there now. So at Uber Home Loans, we partner with you, the property practitioner, to help secure your sales and ensure your buyer gets the best possible structure and rate on their home finance. And guys, I just want to reiterate again, like Ian and Jaco said, so you know, Seeff is a shareholder of Uber, partly owns Uber Home Loans. We are your partners. We want to be there when you're seeing a buyer, even a seller, and they have a question, and you just need to know the answer, and you pick up the phone and you phone Namora. That is what we are there for. Just like the mallets we gave you guys to, please, it's not to hit your competition, nah? It's to hit the boards, the sold signs in the ground, okay? So just like the mallets are your tools that you use in the industry, we want you guys to think of Uber Home Loans as a partner that is there for you when you have a question. I've got a non-resident. Can we do a bond? I've got a temporary resident. This guy's got a permanent residency permit for 20 years. Can I do a bond? You know, clients buying vacant land. How much is the bank's going to give? It's a building loan, but markets. That is what we are there for. So I want to say keep us in your pocket. And when you need us, we are there. A phone call away. Okay, because we are here to help you in the industry as property practitioners. Now, sorry, IT. So, Jaco said, please, Angie, make sure it's inspiring and growth and others. So I thought, okay, what can I play you guys today? And then I remembered, at our conference, we actually had one of our customers that used Uber home loans. And the ladies, I don't know, I'm a softie, so I had to get my tissues ready, but anyway. And we actually asked her permission to play her voice note that she sent one of our Uber consultants. And she gave it to us. And we played this voice note at our conference. And I must say, it doesn't matter how hard of a person you are, when you listen to this, I hope it kind of leaves you with that inspiration of this is what we do, why we do it every single day.
The ultimate measure of our success is how we make others feel.
Ek het dit in myne 3 ure gevat om net tot 'n mate tot verhaal te kom. Maar so man, ek dink nie om dankie te sê gaan ooit verwoord presies wat in my hart aangaan nie. Okay. Ek eer die Here regtig vir jou, want jy ken my nie van 'n bar of sout nie, jy ken vir Casper nie van 'n bar of sout nie. En ou kan sê ja, dis jou werk. Nee, maar jy het meer gedoen vir ons en harder beklei vir ons as wat mens al ooit in ons hele lewe ervaar het. En ongeag wat die uitkoms sou gewees het, sou jy my vandag gebel het en vir my gesê het, nee shit, sorry Anne-Marie, het dit weer nie gewerk nie. Wil ek net vir jou sê dankie, want jy het dit gemaak, jy het my die hele tyd hoop gegee. En jy het my die hele tyd gemaak voel, dis okay. En daarvoor sal ek vir jou altyd en vir ewig dankbaar wees. En mag die Here jou seën in jou besigheid. Mag jy 'n naam word in hierdie Limpopo, nee, wat sinoniem is met fenominale sukses en fenominale groei. Mag die land weet wie jy is. Want daar is nog nie mense soos jy is, nee. Wat goed is en wat gaaf is en wat net reg is. Sal dinge soveel makliker gaan. So dankie. Baie dankie vir my. Regtig baie dankie.
Uber has a winning culture. It's all around us, in what we do, and most importantly, in how you show up, day in and day out, in guiding those who put their trust in us. Winning is making the dreams, happiness, and security of our customers a reality. You can all be proud of what you've achieved, and we look forward to celebrating you tonight.
Yeah, and that is the first time home buy, guys. And you know, I think we forget sometimes, you know, and I think especially in South Africa, how important it is, especially for a South African, to own that first property or that dream home, you know. And I promise you, every time I listen to that. But yes, those are the kind of compliments we get. And like I said, we just got permission from that lady to be able to play her voice note. But listen, I mean, guys, we are ranked #1 in Color Filter, and it doesn't just happen. It is day in and day out, customer service, walking the journey with the customer, pre-qualifying a customer, doing credit checks with the client. Yeah, so through pre-qualification, bond applications, and financial advice, we help agents close deals faster and clients buy with confidence. Again, guys, soos ek sê, ons is in julle sakkie. As jy daar kom by 'n seller and Amora is pre-qualified 5 buyers for you. You've got pre-qualification certificates. Get to the seller. I've got 5 buyers for you, pre-qualified, sole mandate. I mean, person can read now, so yeah. So, just one of the ways that we can at Uber help you guys as well. Another reason so important to multi-submit, so 46% of application declined by one bank are approved by another. So and again, I don't want to say, guys, that we're not there to take a customer. They're banking with Absa, they're banking with Standard Bank, they're banking with F&B. We have fantastic relationships with our banks. If we didn't have fantastic relationships, we wouldn't be able to have an 83% strike rate of approvals. Okay, so we really have great relationship. But when one bank cannot help a customer, we will then obviously offer them the other bank's choices, you know, as a choice to them. So again, it's all about choice. Give your buyer that peace of mind that they are getting the best deal in the market. It's a very busy slide. I'm going to talk quickly. Cost inclusive. The banks are doing cost inclusive now, especially to help your first time home buyer get into the market. So a lot of the banks are actually saying, just quickly by show of hands, if you didn't already read it, must both people be first time home buyers? No. One person has to be a first time home buyer. So kom ons sê nou ek en 'n môre koop, 'n môre het al klaar huis, maar is my eerste keer. I will get cost inclusive. We will, as buying it in joint names, we will get cost inclusive. So getting cost inclusive if only one person is a first time home buyer. So you can do it. And like I said, the banks, I can send this out to you guys, you can look through it, but a lot of the banks are definitely adding the costs to the stuff. Just some of the things that influence the banks when they're looking at a customer. Obviously the customer's credit profile. And again, guys, you know, 60% of South Africans have negative credit profiles. I can show you an accountant or a doctor that had arrears on a credit bureau, and that's just because they completely forgot about the account, or the debit order wasn't in place, or something. It happens to the best of us. But unfortunately that affects your score with the banks. So that's why you need someone in your corner. I always say to people, if you need brain surgery, are you going to go to your GP? No, you're going to go to a neurosurgeon, because that's what they do every single day. We literally process home loans every single day, 20 deals a day. That's all we do. We don't sell credit cards, check accounts, personal loans. We just do home loans. Okay, so the current interest rate will also affect your outcome, the term of the bond. So if you decide a 20-year term or a 30-year term, if your client has a deposit, how much they can get, the value of the property. Obviously the banks will value to make sure that the property is sufficient security, and any additional costs. So obviously if you need cost inclusive, it needs to be added to the purchase price amount, and that will also affect the affordability of the customer. So there's all these little factors that we have to look at when assessing the customer at the banks. Understanding how banks view different types of income, from commission to bonus to overtime to future rental, is key to navigating difficult deals. Okay, so again, just different types of income the banks will look at. Rental income, we must look at. Future rental income, okay, look at. And then salary increases as well. So bonuses, commission, all that kind of income. These are the type of discussions we have with customers. Okay. And yes, 2 of the banks look at future rental. So I don't afford the property now, but with the rental on that property, I can afford the property. Okay, so we can do that too, especially your investor buyer. Your investor buyer in Western Cape is extremely strong at the moment. Yes.
Child's question.
Yes.
Which are the 2 banks that do that? Are that Absa's one?
Absa and Nedbank. Actually, Absa, you must already own a property. Nedbank, you don't need to own a property for future rental. Yeah. Standard Bank's looking at it, but they're taking a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
they're actually we're doing head office analysis for them in terms of them getting an idea of
Yeah, so
rentals and all of
we've
that.
been on their case for about a year now, and we said that they're losing out. So they are actually looking at it.
So we're live at the moment doing a pilot for them so they can,
Fantastic.
and that'll help, because that's
That
another
will
bank.
help, yes. Because look guys, in the Western Cape, of the bonds we do, 35, you saw first time home buy, 36% of the bonds we do are first time home buys. 30% of the bonds we do are investor buys in the Western Cape. That's 12% nationally. So your investor buyer is very strong in the Western Cape. They're all buying these places to Airbnb and alles. So yeah. Standard Bank,
Is that correct? Is it meer of flats or is it baie meer?
definitely a lot of sectional title. Yes, yeah. Lots, yeah.
Nog steeds security villages of is it nie so?
More than sectional
Jy
title.
het net omtrent dit tot nie.
I can try and get you something here, definitely, yeah. But it's definitely more sectional title, not your freehold freestanding houses, yeah. Because they're all buying in Cape Town to Airbnb, and there's so many developments happening at the moment. And then guys, again, it's so good when banks are aggressive and hungry for business. Because right now, a bank will say, right, I'll give you this rate, but if you main bank with us, we'll add an extra 0.25. So all the banks are doing that. So it's amazing, because the more competition, the more choice for your buyer, the better. Okay, and again, I want to teach you guys, just tell you that one of the other things we talk to customers about is not just the sale on the day at the time and cheers, thanks so much for the sale, see you later. No, we talk to our customers about amortization, putting extra into your bond, how much you're going to save on the interest by paying an extra 1,000 Rand into your bond. With the lower interest rate, how much you're going to save on your potential bond application. So just an example, that's a little claim, but anyway. So a client taking a 3 million bond over 20 years at 10.5, which is prime now, will save over 958,000 Rand, approximately 4 years on their bond payment, just by paying the equivalent of one extra installment on their bond a year. So you'll save 4 years off the term of your bond by paying one extra. So let's say your installment is 20,000, by paying a one extra 20,000 every year. You pay your bond sooner.
Vroeger jare was dat soos dat jy vooruit betaal in plaas van maar verstaan nie. Dit kom dit nie maar op jouself doen.
Ja, so
As jy die eerste payment voor jy die basiese extra payment betaal.
yeah, so if you pay that extra payment, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
In the long term,
In the long term.
yes, definitely saves on the term of the bond, yeah. So on a 3 million bond, just to show you, securing a rate of 9%. So yeah, we had 10.5, yeah, we had 9, so it's NBR minus 1.5 instead of the 10.5, means a monthly saving. The person's saving 3,000 Rand by negotiating that rate per month for the customer. That is a lot of money. Okay, so that's why again, you think that 0.25, ek bedoel julle weet, ons wag nou vir môre vir the 0.25, you know how much you're going to save on your bond installment, your car installment, your credit card and all that for the year. So it's all about the customer and educating. And then I thought I'd just add one of Amora's recent Hello Peter compliments. We had absolute pleasure of dealing with Amora at Uber Home Loans. From the word go, she was extremely prompt, professional, went out of her way to assist us. She's been exceptional in every way, making the entire process seamless and stress-free. She's an absolute superstar and an asset to Uber. And I'm putting this out, guys, because I know it's difficult to sometimes when it's a new person and you don't know somebody and you don't know how they're going to give your buyer and your customer good service and stuff. But I can honestly say that, like I said, there's not much more I can't tell you about a home loan or a bond application. Okay. So the sooner we speak to your buyer, the stronger your outcome. And this is where I want to quickly give you guys an example. So we had a customer, he's a pilot, a recent one, and he said he was going Investing Direct. And we gave him a call because we got the OTP from the office and we must phone the customer, and we phoned the customer and he said, no, I'm going Investing Direct. And we said, okay, so just out of interest sake, because we know you're a pilot, what did Investing give you? No, they've already given me minus 1.5 because I'm a customer. And we went, okay. And he went, what? And I said, doesn't excite us. Minus 1.5. He said, really? And I said, yeah, really. And he said, okay, can you multi-submit? He said, cool, no problem. Yours is already at Investec, so we can't go there, but we'll go to the other banks. Back the customer with Nedbank at minus 2.5. And minus 2.5. Yeah. And it was quite a high ticket value because he's a pilot, so yeah, it was high millions. And funny enough, when we told him the savings, which worked out to about between 3,000 and 4,000 rand a month, he said to us, that doesn't excite him. And we said, okay. So we said, okay, but hang on. Put that 4,000 rand into your bond. That extra that you would have paid investing, put the 4,000 every month into your bond. Guess what? Grow your flexi reserve. Guess what? Pay your bond off sooner, and you're building up a lump sum of money for yourself. And you can draw it when you want to. And that's exciting. And that's why you went with Nedbank. So again, guys, we were up against Investec Direct. He's an Investec customer, and he actually decided that this was actually a much better option for him. But you never quite know. En daar, ek is 28. Baie dankie. Listen, can I ask you guys a huge favor? Huge, please. Please, can I get a really big photo of everybody holding their hammers up? That would be amazing.
So dit was 'n 10 minute laat as enigiemand vra het Angela môre. Dis baie tyd. Ek dink ons baie goed is baie keer wat ouens veral mense wat nie dis aan mark as te baie koop in die nuwe agenda. Dis ook enigiets wat julle wil weet in terme van home loans. Ek dink die plaaslike agenda kan nog interessante vrae vra in terme van wat hulle kan doen. So ek dink ja, ek kies dit vir Angela.
Yeah, I know. So if it's zoned agri in commercial, and the issue comes, it will normally be zoned that when the farm is generating an income. So sometimes what happens is we do gentlemen's estates. Weet die mense het soos perde en die mense in die Weskaap het baie geld. Soos ek sê gisteraan, ek weet nie wat ek verkeerd gedoen nie, maar ja. So they have gentlemen's estate where they have horses and stuff, but the actual property is not generating an income. So it's not commercial, it's residential, but it's just a large estate. We do those. We don't. The problem is when the property itself is generating an income. So if it's like, what is a school, you know, or a school would also sometimes be seen as commercial, even though technically we have done one or two bonds for schools, especially when it's a private school. But yeah, so it's especially bed and breakfast or sometimes the doctor's rooms, except we can do that kind of commercial doctor's rooms and dentist rooms with through Standard Bank and commercial financing. But farms, and if you run a farm as a company, It's still the zoning of the land and the property itself, because you can't put it under residential. Because it affects stuff like insurance, homeowners insurance. As iets met daai plek nou gebeur, and you put it under residential, but you actually needed commercial financing, commercial insurance. Gaan hulle nie uitbetaal nie, iets het gebeur met die plaas. So dis al daai, ja.
As jy koop as jy loop in 'n pad.
Wat is dit?
As jy koop as jy loop in 'n pad.
So, yeah, it's zoning, but just remember farms are like that. So we're very good with self-employed and business. So let's say your farmer wanted to buy a house in Strathspey. We can help with that because we know, and the banks also know, that farms are not always going to have a bins, because farming is like that. Now no oesje, no plantje, no gebeur dit. There's only certain times of the year where you might actually show a profit. The rest of the time is probably going to not show a profit in the income statement. The SARS, yeah. Ja, ons ken vir daai self-employed. Dit maak dit bietjie moeilik.
Self-employed is so goed as unemployed.
Self-employed is altyd twee tipe inkomste. Een vir SARS en een vir bank.
Legal entities.
Yes, juristic. Yes, I love those.
When your client wants to buy in a legal entity.
Yes, we do it.
Is it?
Trust, CC, or not even CC anymore. Close corporation is falling away. PTY Limited company, yeah. Actually busy now with one, it's by ingewikkeld, PTY with like 5 trusts. And you must get information for all of it. Because the banks have to, okay, the banks call it what they call a warm body. I don't know if you guys have heard this saying. It's a warm body. They have to, tussen al die papiere moet hulle eintlik 'n persoon kry vind. So they call that the warm body. So with all the trusts and the PTYs, you have to find the warm body. And the reason you have to do it these days, guys, is not a bank ruling. It's because we rule by stuff like money laundering and sanctions and fraud and all that stuff. So we have to find who is the person and who are they. Because that person must be figured and stuff. So that it gets stuck at the attorney sometimes, yeah.
Like the work like that.
Yeah. With a warm body.
Die nuwe generasie koop as influencers. Wat sê se inkomste is word daar bereken vir julle?
You know, I want to tell you something, but I'm not allowed to. But we did a bond. Was one of the biggest bonds that we did in the Western Cape. Actually, nationally, bought for over 100 million, and we did a bond for about 46 million. And you've probably seen him on social media. It's from America.
Like coffee.
No, he bought cash, yalla. So as jy dit kinders 'n DJ wil word, sê ja. Okay, DJ Black Coffee bought in Camps Bay for cash. Did not need a bond. Did not need a bond. Highest transaction ever.
En sy geld in die matras gewerk.
I see he's playing a concert here now in December. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm all proud of that. Yeah. Again, financials, again, very stable income. Also into crypto. It wasn't an easy one, but we got Investec, Nedbank, Standard, and ABSA all approved it. Yeah. It's just prove income. That's all, guys.
I think the interesting thing about the farm is we all know if you take people to a lifestyle farm, the first thing they see is the price. They see that a farm is 6 million rand, and they know that they can buy a property in Strathspey for 6 million. They forget that agricultural finance isn't the same as
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
So once you start telling them halfway to the farm that you know that you can only get 10 to 15 years and you only get up to 50% bond on this property, you see they're starting to look around. They don't really have the money. But it's something that we need to figure out as agri agents is to tell people that before we take them and waste our time on deals, because that I've learned in the past.
Or you can ask the question, where's the money coming from?
I think I've driven to that farm that Dinesh bought on the auction 30 times. So we had our first auction last week, online auction was tested, and we had an offering from Mr. Dinesh because he tested the system.
Feel sorry for you.
And I sold the farm.
Was the bargain 25 rand?
25. More about all that.
So Dinesh, do you need a bond?
I'll give him a better rate.
What we will do is to get one of the bank guys.
Yes, I can help you guys with that.
Yeah, is to do an online thing for the agri and to
Yeah,
show,
I think
just
so.
tell us what the newest things are out there. It's very interesting.
I will get someone for you guys from all the banks, then you guys can do a team. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Next is Mr. Jed. Jed is from Lightstone. He's the regional director for Western Cape, director, if I can say that. And it fits very nicely to where Angie left off in terms of financing, because they help us a lot with our new version 2 on Lightstone. I think it's a very powerful system, and I think it's already proving to be very valuable, because not everybody in the market's got it. So he's going to show us a little bit more about the functions. I know we had a lot of training on it, we did a lot of sessions, but I think there's still a lot of things that we don't know about the system. Yeah, thank you, Jill. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jed. I've been in Lightstone for the last 14 years, and I look after the Western Cape. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and we appreciate great support. Just a little bit of background from a Lightstone perspective that those of you may not know. We built the system probably 2005 for the banks. So the banks use our valuation model as part of the desktop process. So when you go and apply for a bond, they'll do a Lightstone value. The majority of the banks, they'll look at that, our value. We give them a specific value, we give them the score, we give them like a confidence level, and based on that, they'll decide whether they're going to grant that value straight off the desktop or not, or they're going to send out for a particular value. What is nice about that is that with all of that information, when the value goes out, all of that information goes back into our system. And we update our bedrooms, our bathrooms, our garages, and so it updates our models. I think what differentiates us a lot in the market is that we now are the first, I say this properly, the first African non-European member of the European ABM Alliance to be recognized. And I think that gives us a lot of impetus in terms of the data accuracy and reliability that we provide to you. So over the last little while, we've been changing our toolkit. You will remember the previous version of our toolkit, and we've kind of adapted it. And what I wanted it to do today is to just take you through some elements that I think that will help you understand your kind of target market. I want you to go through the My Area functionality. I'm trying not to do it as a training. I'll try to be inspiring. I should have gone before and I want to take you through how we can kind of look for leads on Lightstone, and then lastly I want to go through some of the valuation processes. So some of the things that I'm going to show you those carry a cost, but I'll advise accordingly. But I think there's a lot of value to be held in these things. So the first thing that I want to go through, so I'm not going to walk around the room, normally I do, but I can click on buttons here. So you'll see that when you open up Lightstone, you've got your dashboard. And the one thing that we have created is the ability for you to create. Guys, can you all hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
No.
Somebody say no. Yes. So we've given you the ability to create your own area, right? So everybody's got their farming area. Maybe you've got you want to explore a new area that you want to go into, and you want to just see the viability of it. You want to understand activity. You want to understand the demographics, and you know what is your current market, your target market. Feel like a rock star. Cool. So basically what we do is we got to navigate to kind of the area that we're looking at. So some of the reports that I've done is just generics and just based on our product catalog. And some of them I've actually pulled actual physical reports. And it would help if I spell it right. So the kind of idea is, so let's say, for instance, you wanted to have a look at Swellendam, right? You can go and pull a suburb report on Swellendam or a town report on Swellendam, as we do on the left-hand side here on the menu. But that's going to give you a full view of the whole suburb or the whole of Swellendam. And you might find that your area straddles two different suburbs, or it's half of Swellendam, or because maybe your whole view, maybe Swellendam has got a very different value one side to the other side. And the ability here is to actually draw an area. So again, don't worry too much about how I'm doing it, because if there is any kind of training requirements, we can definitely do that. But I'm going to try and get as much information as possible. So let's just see what we can do here. I'm just drawing an area. And let's finish it up over there. Okay, and then I'm just going to save it. So what I want to talk about over here is that this is now giving me some nice key insights into this area. So first of all, on the right-hand side, now obviously I've drawn quite a big area. But if your area was a little bit smaller, this on the right-hand side gives you a very good indication of your market stock. So is it worthwhile actually farming in this area? Are there enough properties? Are there enough freeholds? Are there enough sectional titles? Are there enough sectional titles with inside estates? For principals that are in the various offices and they want to put in agents into certain areas, this kind of gives them a view of, okay, well, there's enough properties. I need to put in so many agents for so many properties. It gives them a really nice view. Also, for you guys, if you wanted to see, okay, well, I want to specialize in sectional estates, in sectional titles, and you have a look at it and said, well, it's not going to be a very good year when there's zero transactions in that particular, or zero stock in that particular area, obviously. We then just give you an idea of that area in terms of your average property value. So what is the average property value? What is the average property age? And then what is the average property size? But what I really wanted to go through here is we give you some key insights in terms of the last 6 months transactions. So we've broken it down into 6 different sectors. And we wanted to just give you a little bit of activity. And what we're looking at is, so what is the activity like? So how many transactions have taken place? So we can see that there's 14 transactions. What is the average purchase price? So what is the kind of value that people are looking at spending over here? How many of them are bonded? Now, this obviously becomes a lot more important when you're using Lightstone, because obviously the banks, when you're going to apply for a bond, they are going to do a Lightstone value. And if a lot of those properties are being bonded, it becomes more important when you start having to look at those kind of things. We also look at first-time owner sales. So how many of those 14 transactions are with first-time owners? What is also nice is what we do is we track the period of ownership. So what it does is it looks at how long people are living in this particular area before they've sold. So we can see in your particular area, most people are holding on to their properties for about 8 years. What estate agents are generally doing in the past is that they would look at how long people are living in the area before they've sold. They would look at what are the age groups that are buying and selling. And then they would go and pull owners' reports, and they'd go and get a list of all of those people that have been living there, that are 50 years old, that have been living there for a certain amount of time. Then they would get a whole list of those. Then they would go through it and they'd say, okay, who still owns in that particular area? And then they would start getting contact information and calling. I'm going to go through a propensity to sell model which we've created in a moment, which uses a lot of that kind of information. But what's also nice is we look at the average buyer's age. So that in your area, this gives you a very good indication of what is the age of the buyers that you are dealing with. How are you marketing to these guys? Are you marketing differently to a 20-year-old, to a 40-year-old, to an 80-year-old? And this becomes very crucial in terms of how you're reaching your potential clients. So this is a kind of a free tool. You can only create one area at a time if anybody was going to ask that question, if you can add multiple areas. It is a snapshot view, and it won't change until you change it. So you just go back into edit your area, you can edit it again, you can refresh it, or draw a new area and just get some additional information from from whichever other area you're wanting to look at. What we've done based on that is we've created a My Area report. So you may have seen our suburb report, and the suburb report will give you like an indication of the ages of the buyers and the period of ownership and your growth and activity over the last 10 years for your freeholds and sectional titles and estates. What we've done is we've done a My Area report, which is basically like a suburb type report on the area that you've created. I've just done a generic one, so it's not based on the area that I've defined. So what it looks at, and I'm just going through this on a high level basis, so it just gives you an indication of what are the latest transactions that have taken place in your area for freeholds. So what has the activity been like? When was it last sold and when last registered? What were the purchase prices? It gives you a view of the last 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, just to see your activity, what is actually happening, what is the median values in those particular areas, your market stock. And here's where we look at your age of owners. So we can see here that you can look at your middle-aged, your mature. Luckily, we're all in the youth here. So this is your stable owners. And then we track the guys that have bought over the last year. So we can see here in this particular case that your stable owners, your youth is a very small percentage. And yes, in the Western Cape, as Angie was saying, I mean, I think your first-time owners are probably 36, 37 years old. And that's changed a lot, I think, over the last 10 years. Probably it was about 28. So it is getting, I think, more costly to get into the market. But then you can see in this particular example, obviously, it's different for every single report that you would do, but you can see on who's the target market from an age perspective. We can see here in this particular example, we can see that the youth is buying over here. And then we can see also the sellers. We look at the transactions that have taken place over the last 3 and 12 months. Where is that activity happening? Is it in freeholds? Is it in estates? Is it in developed land? Is it in vacant land? Your growth and activity, has this area grown over time? Is there a growth in freehold or sectional title or estates? How have the banks have been doing? Who's lending? Who's not lending? How much have they lent for that particular period? And obviously, you go to Uber. And then what's nice is what we do is we track that particular area, and we show you all the different pockets of where the demographics are in those particular areas. So we can see, so this is just a bad example from a PDF, but we can track how many of them are sitting in your 24 to 49,000 average household income range. And we track that in your area that you've created, and you can see exactly where those kind of people. So are you pushing a 3 million rand property to somebody that earns under 9,000 or something like that? What's also very nice is that it also tracks user interest. So we can see which areas of your area is more active from a property report perspective. So we can see how many people are pulling property reports. We obviously won't show you who they are, but in those particular areas, we can see where is the interest, where are all the estate agents pulling reports on. So if this is is 84 being pulled over here, there must be some kind of interest over here. Maybe that's somewhere to focus on. And then just your amenities, so your closest schools and hospitals, police stations. And that becomes important, for a guy from Johannesburg that wants to come into Cape Town. They want to know where all the amenities are. They want to know for a Joburg guy, they want to know where the police stations are and all of those kind of things, right? It's just a joke. Thanks, thank you. Okay, I mentioned very briefly about a propensity to sell model. Now, it's very new. And what we've done is we've created a seller lead report. And the seller lead report is based, first of all, on the area that you've created. And it's also now done on a suburb level. And what we've done is we've said, okay, on that area, we've taken a look at how long people have been living in that particular area before they've sold. We look at the age of the owners in that particular area. And what we do is we bring in a list of 20 of the most probable properties that we feel will go onto the market soonest. Now, it's probably similar in terms of what you would do in the background of bringing in, taking suburb reports and taking all of that information together and getting lists of all of these things. But then you still got to understand if they still own the property that they bought 10 years ago. What we've done is we've created the seller leads report. And it looks like this. So what we'll do is we'll give you the area, and we try to give you 20, 10 for sectional title, 10 for freehold, depending on the activity. And then we start giving you the age of owners, the earth, the period of ownership, and the activity. So this is all of the guys that over the last kind of year, those are the average ages. And yes, it's new. And when you're going to use this, I would pull one of them and then work on it and see what the success rate is going to be like. I've had instances where the guys pulled one, they got 7 listings and 5 mandates. I've had guys that have phoned the guys and said, listen, I'm not interested in selling. So it is a really nice tool, because what's also one thing that we brought into it is activity. What activity means is that if it says active, it means that there's a lot of estate agents pulling property reports on that particular property, which means that there could be some potential interest in there if there's a lot of people accessing property reports on 6 Carg Street, Swellendam, for example. If it says inactive, it means that no one's actually seen it. So no one, and that could be also a good thing, that no one's seen it, and then you can probably go in there. So it is a really nice tool. It is relatively new. So we've done it on a my area level through here, and then if you go down to our canvassing prospecting section, it's also done on a suburb level if you want to, but it's still 20. So 10 sectional title, 10 freehold. Cool. So that is just trying to understand your area of focus using the Lightstone reports. The My Area functionality is free, so you just have a look at it, recreate it, create it again, go into another area just to see if there's potential in those particular areas. And then what we've done is we've got 3 different ways of valuing properties. We've got our property report, which is the kind of report that you've always used. It's the one that's going to put in the address. It's going to do that comparable market analysis where you get the 20 sales, and it gives you a value based on those sales, and you take out properties that are not relevant and add properties that are more relevant, and it gives you a value. But what we've got now is the EVM report, which you wouldn't have seen before. It wouldn't have been part of your original subscription, but it is now part of it, right? And the EVM report stands for Estate Agent Valuation Model. I guess we're probably going to have to change that word soon, because I don't think we're allowed to use valuation in the word, but the EVM report is effectively a property report, right? And what it is, the only difference is that there's another section, and you can see it over here. And what it does is it gives you a value range of the property itself, so a low and a high, and then it gives you a low, a middle, and a high in terms of the suburb itself. So it just gives you another step in the actual process. So if I actually go directly into it, I'm just going to pull it from my history, if you'll bear with me for a second. So you'll see here. So this is the value range of the property. And what estate agents are generally doing is that they're saying, okay, well, there's a range between 1.5 and 2.3. Maybe the property is in not such a great condition. We want to maybe market it closer to your 1.5 mark. Maybe it's in excellent condition and you want to maybe market it to your 2.3 mark. And it just helps you with one extra step in it. What you'll also find, so there's the next report that I'm going to go through with you in a second is the property value seller report. And that's the report that we provide to the banks. That's the value that we give to the banks in terms of our confidence score. We give you an estimated value. I'm going to show you that you will have access to that kind of report at an additional cost, but I think there's a lot of value in it. But what I wanted to tell you is that estimated value range on the EVM report will be the exact same value range that you get on the property value seller report. So that's very important to note. You'll know all of this information in terms of your bond history, bond values, your transfer history, your street transfer history. But what I wanted to show you over here is that you may have seen this previously, but what we've done now is we've actually given you where we've got the information, and we get it from the banks and valuers, where we've got the area under roof, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the subject property. We give you a value at the top here, And you can see it's quite in line with that middle point over here. And it's a very simple process. As you know, it allows you to take out properties. You'll see, if you remember the old version of Lightstone, you have to take out all the properties, then only the value will change so that you can see what it looks like. Now it changes as we go along. And then also what you may not know is that the ability that you can actually add properties to this list. So we give you the ability to take out properties that may not be so relevant. And we like to use the word customize rather than manipulate. So to get to the best value as possible. Because remember, guys, that this is not the be-all and end-all of the whole process. There is an element, obviously, that you guys would bring into it, which is the most part in terms of your expertise in the area. But it's a starting point, right? But there might be properties in here that may not be so relevant. So at the bottom, there's a section called custom comp sales. And custom comp sales basically means you want to customize your comparable sales. And you'd put in the address. I'm not going to do it now. And you can actually add a property to that list. So you would need to know the property. You would need to add it. And it might be the 21st property. It might be a property that you feel may be more relevant. Maybe it's got better views. Maybe it's in better condition to all the other properties. There isn't any example over here, but if we look at this on a monthly basis from majority of the banks, not all of the banks, but we get any offer to purchase information that they have. So there may be on this list a property that's highlighted in blue here. There'll be no registration date, but it is an OTP. So we'll have the offer price, we'll have the offer date. We will know that there's a willing buyer and a willing seller. So we know that that's what's happening in the market. This is what the banks are happy with. The bond hasn't been approved as yet. We generally find that about 85% of those properties will generally go through to registration. But it really gives you a very good indication of what's happening at the moment in that particular area. And you'll see it will be highlighted in blue, and it'll also say offer to purchase. Okay. One of the other tools that you can actually use, before I get into the property value seller report, is the transfers report. Now, I don't know how many of you guys use the transfers report. It's the ability to interrogate our data. It's the ability to kind of search for properties that are based on a certain date range or a size. What we find is that sometimes you'll find a property that's on one of the portals. You've only got there's no address. There's maybe a size. And what you can do is you can go into the system and kind of say, I want to look at all freeholds in a specific area. This is probably working live in the system is fun. Over the last, or ever actually, that are between a certain earth size range. And that will basically give you, I'm just going to give you everything. And guys, you get up to 200 rows per search, and you've got unlimited access to these transfers reports. And what it does is it gives you all of those transactions that have taken place, because it will give you the size. If I put this into an Excel spreadsheet, it will give you the size of the property, and you can kind of narrow it down. So if you've said that I want to look at all properties that are between 700 squares and 703 squares, that is advertised on one of the portals, one of those properties will be there, and then you can just go and do a little bit of more investigating. Okie dokes. The last kind of reports that I wanted to just touch base on is our property value seller report and our property value buyer report. And the buyer report I wasn't going to talk about, but Angie mentioned something around investors and trying to put more money into your bonds and what that looks like. But I want to touch on the seller report. So the property value seller report is very similar to the property report, except what it does is it gives you the value that we give to the banks. So when the guy is sitting at the desktop and he gets that OTP, he'll punch in all of the information, and we give him a value. To the banks, we give him like a specific score. To you guys, we put a bar graph, and we basically say that the closer this is to that green, or the higher the score, the more likely this property will sell for, let's say, within 20% of its value. And the banks, obviously, each bank is obviously different, and they've got their own scores, but it gives them an idea that if they're happy with that score, they will grant, if that bond comes in at 1.9, or if that value comes in at 1.9, they'll be happy to grant the value. Right? It's not a bond application. There's nothing to do with that. It's just on the value. And this helps you guys, because if somebody comes in with, let's say, the owner wants 3 million, you say, okay, well, hold on a second. We've done a property report. That's your first point of call. You've got an EVM report, right? And it says 1.9, and that's kind of the max. That's where your 20 sales are. And all of a sudden, the guy wants 3, like all owners want a lot more than what their property is worth sometimes, but they want 3.5. And say, okay, well, we've done a property report, but let's have a look at what the banks would grant value on. What will this transaction look like? Because if they want to come 3.5, the banks need to see value. Even if you've got a willing buyer and a willing seller at 3.5, and we're very confident on our scores of 1.9, I'm not speaking on behalf of the banks, but there's a chance that they won't even look at that, if they don't see the value. The buyer and seller might be happy at the time, but if something goes wrong 5 years later, they've got to find value, and then they're not going to be able to get their money back. So this is a really nice tool for price counseling. Not potentially on every single property that you do, because I think the EVM report will help you a lot in terms of that value range. You saw this value range is the same value range in the EVM report, so you can use that as well. But this gives you this nice sense that, is this transaction going to take long? Is it actually going to be a quick transaction? And it really does add a lot of value to the price counseling process. I just want to stop here for 2 minutes and just see if there's any kind of questions that anybody's got that I can answer.
I've got a question. We did the property valuation report on quite a few properties. And what we found, especially in our area, people buy a small little house and then they build on and they extend and et cetera, et cetera. And then we found many of those that are wrong because it still has the small little house as the data. So I'd like to know how you guys collect the data when they actually extend or develop on their property, because they bought it in 2016.
Yeah.
Now we're doing a valuation, but they still have the 2016 property on your...
So are you talking about from a normal property report, or are you talking about from the bank, the property value seller report?
Any of them, because it will come up like that.
So so I think with a property report, it is going to look at the previous. And I think that's where the expertise of the agents would come in and see, okay, well, this property was bought in 2016 and it was one house. Yeah. But there's obviously a lot of building that's gone on to that particular property. So what I would do then is I would potentially look for other properties that are similar size and add those properties to this list.
No. Sorry, if I can stop you there. What we did is we did a single one for this seller. So now what we did is we wrote into you, and you said you can fix it, but it takes about half the month, and then it gets fixed and so on. So
okay.
In that time, we can't get a proper report, and what you just said, it goes to the bank. So now we don't have that correct report that goes to the bank. So the person who's actually selling that house now, their value is far less than they can get. So they can't get the person who wants to buy the house and get a bond, will not be able to get a bond on that house because the house is actually worth much more, but the bank thinks it's worth much less.
So, yeah, no, please.
So what we would do, if there is a buyer who needs a bond, what we would do then, we would request the bank to do a physical valuation.
I was just about to say.
Yes, but my question is, how do you get the data so that we can maybe help you, like the estate agents, when they see something like that, so they can send it through to you? To make sure that you get the data when they've got a house and they see this house is much bigger, doesn't have the correct data there, they send it through to you immediately because we don't realize that until later on, and now we've got a...
So I think it's very important that when you do pick up these kind of things, that it's straight to us straight away, so that we can do something about it. I think it's very difficult for us to look at the registration of 2016, and you don't get all these names, there's no transfer that happens after that they're built by properties. I know when the property goes through value, I know with the new AI that we use in terms of our values and the aerial imagery that we look at. I know that takes into account indigenous physical values. The jar, I think exactly like that. I think that they will send out the value.
Like with
anything else besides that, if there is anything that you pick up on the system, we would please let us know.
So we can let the agents actually know that when you do your mandate, please make sure that you do this and send it to you guys, because within 2 weeks it will be fixed.
Yeah,
and then you've
absolutely.
got the right report.
Absolutely.
Die owner, die eienaar, die valuer, die maak uitgewys. Sou hy sy eienaar nie maak wil sit. Want hy eintlik afvraag.
Yes, we wish they would do that.
Want dit direk aan die owner toe sê,
But they don't do that.
But they can't. If you get the valuer just out and there's no contact information, they will, the valuers, because it's external companies, they charge the customers. But still,
Especially if it's that case. Especially if it's the case. Because I think if you've got a small property and now you built on and you're only looking at that small property, it might be worth it, but yeah.
Interessant today, ons het vrijdag in Struisbaar gehad wat de Tanniese huisingmarkt is vir 7.395 miljoen. So jaar in die markt en ons trek voor property value seller report en die report sê 5.9 miljoen. Ons vat het later en sy sê meer. En ons is later in trane. Sy sê my agent het van gesê dis 7.3. Die belangrike ding is, agente bepaal nie waarde van hy. Nog nooit gebeur het, dit sal nooit gebeur het. Die markt bepaal het. En ons het ook al gesê, maar die range sal gaan is 5.9 en ons het 10% boor op. Dan kom jy by bedrag uit wat ons realisties voel wat hy in die volgende 6 maanden sal verkoop. En sy het ons geluister en sy het ons gehoor en sy het baie dankbaar aan alles. En 'n week later toe sit sy dit weer by 'n agentskap op joint mandate vir 7.2. So dan sê ek vir haar iets stap weg. Want as jy na die einde van kyk, gaan jy sien dat hy gaan vir 6.2 verkoop. Maar sy het nou net, iemand het nou vir haar gesê dis 7.5 en sy het vir 7.5 nodig om af te teken. Dis nou eintlik julle storie, sy het nou 7.5 nodig om af te teken. So dis die beste feite wat ons het. Dis 'n bietjie die moeilikheid. Ek het iets by 'n kantoor gedoen wat het gesê dat ons het toegang tot 'n stelsel wat ons betaal vir 'n rapport. Dis alles feite. Ons is nie waardeerders nie. Dit is die naaste aan die waarheid wat hier gaan kom. En dat meeste eiendomme in daai spesifieke dorp is heeltemal te hoog geprys. As jy die waardasieverslag gaan trek en jy kyk, hulle almal is geprys. En dit kom terug na 'n spesifieke agentskap wat dit doen. Die naam en nie, maar een agentskap wat dit doen, hulle het baie mandate. Maar het begin in daai ding kom van kry nie goed verkoop en die waardes is te hoog. So as hulle stoklevel laag is, dan oorwaardeer hulle dit nie. Maar ook nie almal onthou net nie almal het toegang na hierdie version 2 nie, dis 'n nuwe ding. So ek dink ons het voorreg om dit nog die ekstra op hoor. Maar dit is eintlik dis die naaste aan feite wat ons het. So dit is nogal powerful. Dit is nogal so ek net mag sê dis iets wat ons elke dag seker by elke gebruik het. Maar dit is regtig powerful. Interessant een, ek gaan dit weer oorgee. Interessant een, huidig is al eindom die markt vir 12.3 miljoen. So die eindom van kyk, ongelooflik mooi, regtig mooi. En die valuation report sê 4.8. En ek dog, goeie hel, ek weet wel, hier is 'n fout voor die systeem. En toe ek gaan inzoom op die eindom, is het regtig 12 miljoen aan luister gebouw is, maar hy is gebouw in die industriële area. So ons sê nie die bank gaan nie vir 12 miljoen leer as iemand koop nie. Maar as jy die aansoek gaan sien, gaan jy dit dadelik eers afgee en dan gaan jy dit sien.
I think it becomes much more important when one especially on the
side, because we are the only company at the moment that where the banks are integrated with us, and if they need a bond, the banks are going to have to see the value, and that's why it's very important to be able to see. To be honest, I wouldn't. If you know this property is 10-15 million rand, I would do an EVM report or a property report. we may be quite conservative with the banks to say, well, do we think that that property will sell with 20% of its value for a 15 million rand property? I think you'd probably, if you tried to pull a value seller report on one of those properties, it might tell you, listen, rather pull a property report. So I think, so I think where there's a bond, I think it's very, very important. The last report I wanted to, sorry, was there any other questions? Yes. Is sure. So I was thinking that was there something wrong with the information, or are you just asking just in general? Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of different information that we get. So if we're talking about deeds data, we get deeds data on a weekly basis directly from the deeds officers, and we also get a monthly refresh. We generally find that once the property is registered at the deeds offices, please don't hold me to this, but it's about 3 weeks from the date that it's registered at the deeds offices before you'll see it on Lightstone. Our suburb reports are updated on a monthly basis. We get a lot of information from banks in terms of your bedrooms and your bathrooms and your garages. We don't get it from estate agents. It can be subjective in terms of what's a bedroom and what's a study, so we get it from our valuers and our banking clients. Physical addresses is always a tricky one because everybody has their own way of doing things. We use a lot of the municipal value from the municipal value. I'm English and I'm running out of it. The municipal valuation rolls, we get a lot of that information from, and we've been doing it for quite a long time. So we've perfected that. We've got SG images, which is we've got a cadastre that we put onto the property when it gets loaded onto the system. So yeah, there's quite a lot of sources that we get.
Yeah. Question that you need to ask now. She says a lot of agents ask about the Lightstone ID that is now not there anymore so that they can get it and put it on top data. It does not show on Lightstone anymore so they can take it and put it on top data.
I think that it might. You're talking about it. You're not talking about a person's ID. It's a different conversation. It's an ID. It's a prop ID. I can't answer that question. I'm going to have to get one of the prop daters. I will. A prop data perspective. Oh, I see. Okay. Let me take it offline.
On the old one, you could see the ID.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, I'll get back to you on that. Of course. Thank you. I appreciate that question. I think for the most part it's very, yes. As far as I understand, it's the way it's measured and from the angle that it's measured at. Yeah. For the most part, it's very similar. I think where you've got farms and those kind of things, it makes a big difference. But we always go with the registered size. But I think it is the angle that it's measured from. Yes. Yeah, no. So it's before the bond. It's before the bond has been approved. The value. The banks are happy with the value. We generally find that about 85% of those properties generally go through to registration. So they can still that deal can still fall through. But what we're really trying to show you is that there's a willing buyer and a willing seller. So the buyer and the seller were happy with it, and not all banks will give it to us, and we'll only have it on bonded properties. Yeah, so we won't give you. No, so we won't give you owner details. We'll just give you the offer price, the offer price, the offer date, and the address. There's no personal information in there. Beg your pardon? You missed the. Sorry, yeah. Say that again, please. But I think what you should do, though, is that you should keep an eye on those offered to purchasers information, because if in the next month that's still there or it's gone off, keep an eye on those properties, because maybe that deal did fall off, and then you know that there's a potential. Yeah. So you'll be able to get an address, and then you'll be able to get in with the right tick boxes that you've got. You'll be able to get to the owner of the property, but you're not going to get the deal of the new people until it's registered, and then it's obviously a little bit too late. But yeah, you can just keep a track of those OTPs. You were asking about the ownership information. What were you looking for in terms of that? So we can show you the owner's information on the property report. But we can't show you the transfer history anymore. We're not allowed to show you, we can show you the date ranges and the purchase prices, but we're not allowed to show you the previous owners. But current owners we do show you. It's just we can't show it to you without pulling a report. And for you guys, you've got access to unlimited access, so you can just pull it. But like, I mean, over here, if I just do... And you'll see now that the search functionality has changed also quite a bit to just make it a little bit easier. No, that's only for me. Yeah, there's various ways of doing it. So anything outside of the system you can, but that's a conversation you must have outside of my conversation. So what you can see over here is you've got it'll tell me the address, it'll tell me the owner. I don't know if you guys use our telephone number search, but if you do, it's got access to our Easy Connect, which is R2.50 per inquiry. It gives you up to 2 or 3 contact numbers, an email address at times. We have SIPC data, so if your property's in a company, you can get all the directors. We have some trust information, but generally your newer trusts, your 2012 above, we sometimes have information, and we'll get an ID of the trustees. Your family trusts and your trusts are much older, it's very difficult to get hold of. But so, yeah, this will tell me all the owners. And then the last report that I just wanted to touch on is we created sorry guys. Sorry, this is the last one, is the property value buyer report. Now, the buyer report was more designed for your buyer and for your investor, because what it does is it actually says to you, so once you own the property, how much is it actually going to cost you? Because a lot of the time people don't really take a lot of those kind of things into account. And so it's similar to a property report. So we do a lot of the elements within the property or the property value seller report. So we'll give you the value that the banks will see. And based on this value, we've created an affordability calculator, but it's based on the value. And unfortunately, you can't change this value and you can't change the rates. So it's just based on fixed certain things. So it will tell the total bond registration costs, total property transfer costs, and again, it's based on that value over there. So how much is it going to cost once I own this particular property? This is nice for investors and for buyers. And then this is just the section that I just wanted to touch on, is that what happens if you put extra into your bond? So if you put 5% or 10% or 15%, and you can see how many months is saved based on putting a bit of extra into it, and it kind of ties into what Angie was saying as well. So this is the property value buyer report. Guys, I could sit and I could talk to you for a long time around Lightstone, but I think that I don't know if it was inspiring, but hopefully some of the information that I've spoken about today will help you, maybe get more mandates and help you just to understand the system a little bit better, be able to find more stock and more properties and more sales. If you guys need any kind of training, just let us know. We've got a trainer. We can do online. We've got so much online training that we're doing all the time. There's on your toolkit itself, there's a training video over here. There's also a link over here that you can download, and you can register for any of the training events that we do over time. Just register. We've broken it down into bite sizes or pocket sizes, or if you want something more personal, then we can definitely arrange something with the team.
Sorry, man, I just want to ask you, the normal property reports, they've now got the headings of each section with a navy background written in red. When we print that in black and white, we can't read it. We can't give it to our clients.
So one of the things that we're really looking at is the toolkit redesign in terms of the color. So we're going to be bringing out a new version, and we're not going to have that big, bold colors at the back. So from a printing perspective, they haven't shown it to us yet. It's coming soon. So they're redesigning the actual look and feel of the report so that because we do realize that some of the things are faint and some of the things are very bold. So when you print it in black and white, it becomes a little bit tricky. So that is something that we are looking at. And guys, I think what's very important is that you guys are on the system all the time, or hopefully you guys are on the system all the time. If there are any suggestions or anything that you feel that we can do better, please let us know, because at the end of the day, we want the system to work for you. And whatever we can do, we definitely want to. And yeah, that's my story. Thanks.
Thank you, Jed. I think the most important thing about this is we've got amazing tools. It's new to everybody. It's change. Change isn't always easy to adapt to, but it's amazing. And I must say, working with Jed and his team has been absolutely very easy. They're really trying to help. I've got his personal cell phone number. I put it on the group for everybody. But really, he would help you with anything. So if you really stuck, send me a message. I'll send it on to you and I'll help you whenever. So thank you so much. And we look forward to creating the system with you guys. And I think it's very powerful. Thank you. There you go. Okay, julle, ons gaan nou weer begin oor so 2 minute. Almal net hulle plekke inneem. Ons gaan net gou vinnig. Jet het vergeet, daar's iets wat hy interessante funksie op die stelsel wat hy gou vir ons wil wys. Gaan so 2 minute, dan gaan ons weer begin, hoor. Ek dink volgende keer gaan ek vir ons 2 aande social boek. En lyk my ons het nogal baie om te sê. Maar is lekker. Is lekker om almal hier te hê. Jet gaan net gou vir ons vinnig iets wys. Hy het vergeet om iets te noem op die stelsel wat nogal belangrik is. En daarna gaan ek gou vir ons volgende spreker aan die woord stel. Dankie.
Sorry, guys. I thought it was quite relevant. One of the things that we've done is on your phones. So Lightstone is available on your phone. It's not an app, right? So you'd go in on your browser, as you would go on the internet on your phone, create a shortcut. And I've just taken the desktop version and I've just made it a little bit bigger so that you can see. When you log in, it's the same username and password that you would use on your that you'd log in on your computer with. And you'll see that there will be 3 buttons at the top. One is an advanced search and one is a map search. And when you're on the road, all you need to do is, you connected, but just bear with me. Okay, it's this, so a map will open up here, and there's a little button over here. When you're on front of the property, you click on it, and it will take you to the property that you're standing in front of, and then you can pull a property report or get contact information. So you know, especially if it's vacant and you don't have an address or anything like that, it allows you, with your geolocation being on, you can just click that button. The other one is just on the advanced third page. I don't know how to use this computer. At the bottom, there's a search coordinates button, and then you can just sorry, this button over here is the same concept. Click on it and hit search, and it kind of takes you where you're standing, and then you can pull a report or whatever you want to do. And that's all I wanted to say. So it's not an app. It's on your browser, and so you, on the road, you may not have the physical address. Push that button, takes you to the property that you're standing in front of. It'll activate the map as well. So if it's not the right property, just click on the map on the next property, and then you'll be able to pull the report. No. It's if you pull the property value seller report, then there's a cost. But property report is who the owner is. To get, I don't know whoever you use for telephone numbers, so you can get an ID without having it. It's really cool. Cool. Thank you.
Ek dink daar's so baie interessante goed rondom hierdie ding dat ons kan nog vir dae aangaan. Ek gaan net gou vir ons hier toe maak. Ons volgende spreker is meneer Andrei Swart. Hy en sy vroutjie Janine Swart is hier vandag. En is nogal vir my 'n lekker oomblik om hulle voor te stel. Ek het ons paai het gekry so 20 jaar terug in 'n plek noordelike voorstede daar in Bellville. En glo dit nie, maar ek het al daai tyd al ook probeer werk. Maar daai tyd het ek vir Uba gewerk nogal vir 2 jaar en ek was hulle konsultant gewees in daai Pam Golding kantoor en Andrei was nogal 'n groot mentor vir my daai tyd. Hy gaan nou vir jouself vertel wat hy als gedoen het, dis nogal blerrie baie. Maar ja, hy gaan vir ons 'n bietjie vertel van sy lewe en sy loopbaan in eiendomme en wat hy alles gedoen het. Ek het baie respek vir hom en vir Janine. Ek dink ons het toe kontak gehou daarna en ook hulle kinders en ek dink ons kan nogal baie by hom leer en ek dink is 'n is vir my 'n groot voorreg om jou voor te stel. Dankie, Andre.
Is alright. Vriende, ek het gedink, eerstens Jaco, baie dankie vir die geleentheid. Dit is ek's 'n nobody soos ek wat gevra word om dit te doen is vir my 'n groot eer. Want ek wil geen erkenning vat nie. 'n Mens moet nooit erkenning vat nie. Jy gee dit vir die Here. Dis dit. En daar's niemand wat enige geloofs-oortuigings het dat ek dit moet sê nie. Jy moet net sê, want ek lewe daarvan. Ek lewe net vir genade. Ian ook, baie dankie vir jou, vir die geleentheid wat jy my gee. So ek het gevoel, ek is baie lief vir my eie stem. Ek hou daarvan om myself te hoor. So, en mense is nie altyd so lief daarvoor nie. So, miskien moet ons eerder 'n open floor hou. Nee, want ek het 45 minute en jy kan nie regtig in 45 minute jou hele storie vertel nie. Wat ek vir julle net vinnig kan sê, ek en my vrou saam die laaste 20 jaar het so 20 biljoen rand se sales gedoen. Ons was topagente by Pam Golding, ons was topagente by Rawson, dubbelsyfer voor nommer 2. Ons het goed gedoen. Ons was geseënd, ontwikkelings 1000 units, 2000 units, 3000 units. Ons is baie geseënd. Maar dit gaan nie nou vandag daaroor nie. Dit gaan nou vandag vir my oor jy moet elke oggend opstaan. En jy moet elke oggend voel dat jy het 'n purpose. Want as jy die dag voel dat jy het nie meer 'n purpose nie, dan dit vir jou laat geraak. Nou ek het Ian nou net ontmoet. Ek het hom nou net ontmoet. En ek kan vir julle sê, hierdie 5 minute, 10 minute wat ek met hom gepraat het ek gevoel, hierdie man het 'n energie. Hy het 'n energie. En hy het 'n vibration. En hy het 'n frequency. Ek wil amper die F-woord gebruik. Ek het nou net gesê ek's 'n kind van die Here, maar ek dink nie dis 'n vloekwoord nie, want die vissermanne was almal apostels, hulle moet bring my 'n visserman wat nie fok sê nie. So ek sê nou vir julle, hierdie ou wat hier sit, ek ken hom nie. Ek ken hom nie. Maar ek ken hom nou. En om so ‘n mentor te hê soos hierdie man. Geen geld kan hierdie man replace nie. Ek sê nou julle vandag. Hy's next level, hy het my geïnspireer, ek het hom gevoel. So, niemand gaan jou dopamine levels, jou frequency, jou energie, jou, dit wat jy kry om aan die gang te bly, niemand gaan dit vir jou gee, behalwe jy jouself nie. So wat ek doen, ek staan elke oggend op 4:30, dan gaan loop ek 10 kilometer. Ek is 'n diabetes, ek is 'n tipe 2. Enige tipe 2 diabetes hierso? Is al? Okay, praat met my na die tyd. My HbA is af na 5, 6. Okay? HbA is jou suiker oor die laaste 3 maande. En ek gaan nou vir jou sê, en ek wil vir julle spesifiek sê, is 2 diabetes, tipe 2 of tipe 1? Tipe 2. Ek wil vir jou sê, as jy jou diabetes kan beheer, dan kan jy enigiets doen. Daar's niks wat jy nie kan doen nie. Enige een van julle wat hier sit, kan enige iets doen. Because start with the end in mind. As jy dit wil doen en jy wil dit doen, nou wil ek julle nog 'n ding sê. My hele karier het ek nog net moeilikheid gehad. Want ek dink ek is 'n bietjie van 'n belligerent personality. As dit kom by my karakter, weet julle wat is belligerent? Belligerent is awesome and aggressive. Ek het 'n rooi karakter. So dit beklei kom soos water drink. Maar dis nie reg nie, nee. Dis nie reg nie. Jy kan nie die balans handhaaf om te wil beklei die hele tyd nie. Want as jy die beklei, the law of attraction, jy stoot weg. Jy moet attract. So ek het my wonderlike vrou wat saam met my gekom het, ons is die opposite. Ek is die bekleier en sy wil liefde maak die hele tyd. Sy wil net, wel ek bedoel dit nou nie in die sin van in die bed spring nie. Ek bedoel as ek haar sien, as ek my vrou sien, sy het my nou gesê, jy praat nie oor my nie. Maar as ek my vrou sien, dan sien ek liefde. Want ek is 'n 0 op 'n kontrak sonder haar. Sy is die een wat sy inspireer my, sy maak my die aandryf wat ek is. En ek moet vir julle sê, dit het lank terug gebeur. Ek was 'n klein seun van 10 jaar oud. Ons is in dieselfde kerk. En ek het altyd vir my ma gesê, ma, as ek net eendag 'n vrou kan kry soos Janine. Here, ek soek so 'n vrou. Maar toe gaan ek nou stage toe, ek sing, ek het sanger gewees vir 10 jaar op die stage saam met Tolla, honderde shows en saam met Bless. Jy kan gaan kyk op Apple Music, Andrei Swart release me is ek. My album is daar. Gaan luister daar. So, toe het ek nog nooit my vrou gekry nie. En toe het ek met al die girls wat op die stage was, saam met my, al die lady dies en die mooi girltjies en die lekker girltjies, die blonde koppies met die lyfies en alles. Jesus, maar ons het beklei. En ek het gedink, maar Andrei, jy kan nooit trou in jou lewe nie, jy moet hier sulke mense nie. Jy kan nie. En ek het gebid, ek het gesê, Here, asseblief, ek moet hierdie vrou kry. Ek kan nie, ek is 35. Ek moet 'n vrou kry. En weet julle wat? My ma het altyd gesê, Andrei, jou vrou se man lewe nog. I rest my case. En my vrou se man, wat ek ook goed geken het, hy was 'n wonderlike mens. Hy was 'n wonderlike mens. Hy sterf op 36 in 1998. En sy kom na my kerk toe. Nou kyk ek haar so, nou dink ek, Here Andrei, die man is nog nie koud nie, jy kan nie nou hier. En nou sê ek, hy tyd ook alweer met 'n lekker vioolspelertjie die mekaar, 'n boetie wat 'n lyfie het en is 'n lekker dingetjie. En ek dink, God, ek het nou nog nie die girl heeltemal hier nou. Ons is nog nie heel, maar jy wil vir Janine hê. Ek sit daartoe vinnig af. Nou wag ek vir Janine. Maar nou weet ek nie hoe om vir Janine te, jy weet. En ek gaan julle nou sê hoekom ek die storie vertel. So sê sy vir my, en sy ontken dit die hele tyd, sy sê dit is nie so nie. Maar dit is regtig so. So sê sy vir my eendag by die kerk, by die deur, toe ek uitstap. Ek sien haar man mos nou die hele tyd. Sy sê, nou gaan jy my nou ignoreer die hele tyd. Want, ja, okay, sorry my skat. Ja, maar daar was altyd 'n chemical, ons ken mekaar van klein af. En sy sê, maar gaan jy my nou ignoreer die hele tyd? Ek sê, as jy by die huis nou, gaan jy nou huis toe. Jesus, en ek dink die 3de dag, die 4de dag, toe praat ek al van ons trou en troue. Sy sê, maar jy het my nog nie gevra nie. Ek sê, maar sy sê, maar jy moet eers my pa vra. En ons is die aand by die spur en die kinders lê onder die tafel en ek vra en hy sê, maar hy's op die plek kwaad. Want hy het ek 'n sanger en ek is los en ek is op die stage en jy weet hoe praat hulle van Steve Hofmeyer en daai mense. En ek vra en hy hak af en hy sê vir haar, maar jy moet onthou jy was met 'n dominee getroud. So asof jy nou die krap wil trou. Maar anyway, min weet hy dat ek toe ook na die tyd 'n leuke dominee raak, né? Dominee? Daar sit ook 'n dominee. So toe raak ek ook 'n leuke dominee na die tyd. Maar ek wil vir julle sê vandag, my boodskap aan julle. Ek het Sondag wat verby is, laas Sondag, toe gaan ek na my topagent. Sy is the most deernis mens wat ek in my lewe ken. Sy lewe vir ander mense, sy wil net vir ander mense gee, wat soos Jesus is. I want it more for you than for me. En ek gaan na haar broer toe, hy sterwend, hy het kanker, hy is op sy einde, en ek bid vir hom, en 48 uur daarna toe sy dood. En weet julle wat, Here, ek wil nou die storie vertel van Marie. Daai vrou, slaap 'n uur in die nag, die laaste jaar, want sy is by hom, hy wil niemand by haar hê nie, sy's daar. En weet julle wat? Sy's dubbelsyfer voor nommer 2 in ons kantoor. Die Here stuur vir haar werk. Jy kan dit nie glo nie, daai vrou kan nie, hoe werk dit? En as sy in jou presence kom, dan voel jy, jy voel lekker, want sy's opreg, sy's one of a kind. En ek wil dit met julle deel. En dis hoekom ek aan die begin gesê het, dit hang alles af oor hoe jy oor jouself voel. En ek sê toe vir daai ou, Nico was sy naam. Ek sê, Nico, ek wil jou gou guns vra, want my ander vriend is by en hy praat met hom en ek som hom op. Die Here het my daai gawe gegee. Jy weet, ek kan mense goed opsom. En as eiendomsagent moet jy dit kan hê. Want jy moet weet waar is die backdoor van die ou om die mandaat te kry. Jy moet weet die rigting of daai rigting. Jy moet weet, en as jy foute maak, is dit verby. You cannot rehearse. Want as jy 'n fout gemaak het en die ou het jou geryk, Is dit klaar? Het jy dit nie? Hy moet jou like, dadelik. Okay, teken hier. My kommissie, my bedrag, my jaar, my tydperk, alles. In al die goeders, maar julle ken dit, ek gaan nie dit vir julle leer nie. So, Nico, ek sê vir Nico, ek het nou iets agtergekom by jou. Jy like jou selfie. Nou ek is 61, maar ek dink nie daar is 'n meer aantreklike persoon as ekie. As ek voor die spieël staan, dan sê ek vir myself, Here, André, God, jy raak nou my ouerie, man. Jy moet miskien net jou hare bietjie korter sny, maar Jesus, you're a looker, hè? You're a looker. You're a looker, not a hooker, a looker. Ek sê maar, jy moet jouself like. Ek hoop jy rekord hierdie goed hier, hoor. Jy moet jouself like, en ek sê vir jou, as jy my wil bel my enige dag. Bel my enige dag, enige tyd, en praat met my vir 10 minute, en jy gaan lekker voel na die tyd. Mense, dis belangrik, want weet julle wat, hoe werk die lewe? As jy die oggend opstaan, en jy's opgesaik, en jy's reg, en jy's excited, en jy's dankbaar. Want dankbaarheid attract blessings. Daar's niks anders wat blessings attract nie. Moet my dit nie vertel nie. Dankbaarheid, gratitude attracts blessings. Dan gaan jy sien, jy gaan die oproepe kry, jy gaan die mandates kry. Mense wat jy jare mee werk, gaan jou bel. Dinge gaan net so val. Jy sê, gee dit net vir iemand anders. Ek het nou genoeg. Ek kan nie meer vat nie. Ek wil nie meer hê nie. Dis hoe dit werk. Dit begin by jouself en dit begin by jou presence. Dit begin oor hoe voel jy oor jouself. Dis belangrik. So, ek wil vir jou sê vandag, jy weet wat is jou topkwaliteite. Jy weet wat is jou sterkste eienskappe. En as selfbeeld nie 'n top 3 is nie, maak 'n plan. Maak 'n plan. Want die Here het jou gemaak. Wat is daai een liedjie wat daai girl so lekker sing? Wat is hy? Lyfie. Gaan luister na Lyfie. Die Here het ons almal mooi gemaak. Daar is nie iets soos iemand wat lelik is nie. Daar is nie. Jy kan die mooiste mense kry met die lelikste, jy weet, personalities, ja. Maar die Here het ons almal mooi gemaak. En 'n ou moenie, wanneer jy na kliënte toe gaan, wat baie belangrik is, gaan met 'n hart van deernis. Weet jy nou, baie mense het ek al uitgepraat uit 'n seil uit. Dan bedoel ek dit. As ek vir die ou, want ek doen 'n hele volledige amper soos 'n makelaar. Want ek was een ook, ek het dit ook gedoen. Dan sê ek vir die ou, meneer, maar jy moenie 'n huis verkoop nie. Jy maak 'n fout. Dan sien ek daai ou. En dan stap ek uit, dan verloor ek die deal. Dan bel hy man my 3 jaar terug. Dan vat ek die kommissie wat ek wil. Want hy vertrou my. Ek was eerlik. Ek gaan nie iets doen. Dit gaan nie hier oor nie. Dit gaan nie net hier oor nie. Dit gaan oor, wat sou ek wil gehad het met iemand vir my doen? Jy moet opreg wees, jy het net een naam. So, dit is baie, baie belangrik. En soos ek nou na julle kyk, ek kan nie help nie, nê? Ek lees min of meer julle personalities. Daai gawe het ek gekry. Ek kan dit lees. En ek kan optel hier's van julle wat excited is. Ek kan optel van julle, ja, jy's maar net nog 'n motivational speaker wat, dit is nie so nie. Dit is nie so nie. Ek beloof julle, daar is 'n resep vir alles in die lewe. En die resep vir sukses begin by inner peace. Inner peace, happiness, joy is the fuel of success. Contentment. Dit is die sukses. En wat is sukses? Wat dink jy is sukses? Wat definieer jy as sukses?
Ja, inner peace.
Inner peace. Okay.
Making my brother happy.
Yes. Who's your brother? Where's your... Okay, so julle 2 broers. Okay, dis mooi. Dis mooi. So I must also practice what I preach, because ek praat al die goed, maar om dit toe te pas, is nie altyd so maklik nie. En dan 'n ander ding natuurlik is, wat 'n ou moet leer om dikwellig te wees in die game. Nou kyk my vrou, nê. O, Here, ek weet nie hoe sy dit reg kry nie. Sy het 'n groot rentelboek, of, wel, nou nie so groot soos joune nie, maar sy het 'n rentelboek, en ek sê, in die aand praat ek met haar, en sê ek vir my engel, wat het nou vandag gebeur met jou? En vertel sy my van die mense wat nou so onbeskof is, en die en dit en daai. Maar sy handel hulle. Jy moet leer om dikvellig te wees. Maar jy moet, en ek het nou die dag 'n artikel gelees van Samuel op LinkedIn. Ek het hom ge-invite nogal, hy het dit aanvaar. LinkedIn, ja. Hy het 'n artikel, wie van julle het gesien? Sy latest LinkedIn artikel. Julle moet dit lees, want hy praat die waarheid. Hy sê, you gotta become a neighborhood expert. Jy moet weet wat gaan in jou neighborhood aan. Jy moet weet hoeveel kliënte is daar. Jy moet weet, nee? Where do you work? Sure. Okay, wie werk hier naby? Wie werk in Swellendam? Okay. Hoeveel huise is hier in Swellendam? How many houses? Okay, no. How many sales has happened in Swellendam the last 6 months? No. How many? You see what I mean? You've got to be on it. Huh? You've got to know how many houses is in die dorp. Hoeveel huise verkoop elke 6 maande? Hoeveel huise verkoop elke maand? Wat is my market share? Hoeveel het ek verkoop? Hoeveel wil ek verkoop? Waartoe gaan ek? You've got to know. You've got to be on it. You've got to be on it. It's very important. Because people's not going to walk to you. You get to phone people the whole time. Ek dink 'n agent is een van die is 'n moeilike job. Maar bring vir my 'n maklike job. Hoeveel tyd het ek? Ek praat hoe lank praat ek al? Om agent te wees is waar is Braamfontein? Jesus, julle werk ver jong. Joburg CBD. Yes, as het jy gun by jou of het jy 9mm? Want hy lyk soos 'n karate ou. Hy lyk of hy 'n ou in sy moerkas kop. Ja, okay, you is bodyguard.
Just your talk is convincing us to join Yaku.
Okay. So the thing is, here's the thing, you guys, if I must tell you my story, my real story. Ek het mos gesê aan die begin, ek het 'n belligerent personality. Ons was gewees by Rossen vir hoeveel jaar? Nee, by Pam Golding. By Pam Golding begin 2003, nee? My vrou was in 2000 al. En daarso het ek ingestap, nee, by Pam Golding. Stap ek in die manager se kantoor. Ek sê vir haar, weet jy, do you know who I am? Onmiddellik sien ek sy te kak in my nou. Wie is jy wat vir my vra wie jy is? Ek sê vir haar, you are talking to your number 1 agent in this office within 2 years. Sy kyk my so. Jy weet jy waarvan jy praat hier. En toe sy op verlof gaan, nê? Toe is Samantha Nel, wat 'n prokureur is, sy's nou nog haar. Toe stap ek na haar toe sê ek vir haar, jy beter my aanstel. Want kyk al die deals wat ek al gedoen het. En ek is 'n rookie. Sy stel my aan, binne 2 jaar, toe is ons nommer 1 in die land. En Maureen Nel het nooit vir ons dankie gesê of geluk gesê as ons opstap by daai awards. Elke maand stap ons op. En dieselfde by Rossen. 27 maande nommer 1 in die land. En die punt is, ek wil nie sê ek is goed nie, ek sê dit om julle te inspire. Ek sê dit vir julle, sodat julle dit ook kan doen. Want daar's niks wat jy nie kan doen nie. En ek dink Tannie Pam het begin op 50. Sy het in Hermanus op 50 begin. En dis nog 'n punt, nou wat ek haar naam noem. Wanneer ek met haar gesels het, wanneer jy met haar gekommunikeer het, en ek het opgetel hier by hom ook net hou. Daar kan 'n bommie om jou afgaan, as hy connected op jou en hy's in jou oë, en julle praat, dan is jy die belangrikste. Hy laat jou belangrik voel. Dis belangrik, dat wanneer jy, maar jy kan nie dit doen, as jy nie goed voel oor jouself nie. So wat doen jy om goed te voel oor jouself? Kan iemand my sê, wat doen jy? Waar begin jy nou om goed te voel oor jouself? Kan iemand my sê? Wat doen jy? Jy lees boeke. So wat ek wil doen is, julle moet miskien gaan net op Andrei Swart Inspire en stuur my jou detail en ek sal vir jou die name van boeke stuur, ek sal vir jou my blog stuur, ek sal vir jou die inspirasie video stuur, ek sal vir jou die quote stuur, want ek het duisende daarvan, wat ek self doen. So, dis belangrik dat 'n ou boeke lees van slim mense, wat vir jou sê hoe jy dit moet doen. So, dit is ongelukkig belangrik. Want onthou, wanneer 'n mens if you feel bad about yourself, then you attract that. You cannot get in life what you want. No one can get what you want. You can only get what you are. Doesn't make sense. Met ander woorde, dit wat jy is vandag, is wat jy môre attract. Nou voel 'n mens partykeers, maar jy is in 'n punt in jou lewe, niks werk meer uit vir my nie. Dinge werk teen my, ek het nie geld nie, ek kan nie dit doen nie, ek kan nie dit doen nie, ek kan nie dit doen nie. Wie se skuld is dit? Dis jou eie skuld. Want jy het al 'n maand terug of 2 maande terug. Ek praat myself, nê? You are your own worst enemy. Maar die oomblik wat jy vrede maak, die oomblik wat jy gaan en jy sê, ek sit dit agter my, dan trek jy weer die beter goed. So die lewe is maar 'n bietjie van 'n op en af. Jaco, het jy enige vrae wat jy my enigiets wil vra? Enige een van julle, het julle enige vrae? Want ek sal net praat die hele tyd. Okay. My laaste seil wat ek nou gedoen het, het ek het 'n hele klomp agente gekom en gesê die plek is 6 miljoen werd. Dis hier in Somerset Wes, 'n klein hoewe 3.3 hektaar met 1000 square se geboue op. Ja, maar jy kan nie hier ontwikkel nie en almal gaan besware maak want daar's plase om dit en dit gaan nie werk nie. En my eie een direkteur in die kantoor het gesê Andre is 5 miljoen werd. En ek het in die mark gesit vir 20 miljoen, ek het nou net verkoop vir 14 miljoen cash. Aan 'n UK buyer. Plek is 10 jaar in die mark. So wat ek vir julle probeer sê is, ek moes eintlik weggestap het daarvan. Want dit is eintlik, moenie dit vat nie. Jy gaan jou tyd mors. Jy moet soms uit Westrooi, ek ry 63 AMG, R1000 se petrol. R1000 se petrol. Ja. En ek het seker 30 keer al gery. So waar is my geld? En ek gaan nooit die deal doen nie. Ek het hom verkoop cash in 'n UK